Welcome to the citizens of St. Bernard Parish. Today is Monday, April 6th. So we had a weekend of some activity here in St. Bernard Parish, and today, after consulting with our sheriff and with our leaders in the parish, we're going to issue an executive order today dealing with businesses, mainly grocery stores and hardware stores. So I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but first I want to give an update on the COVID-19 and its effect on our hospital and the citizens of St. Bernard Parish. The first thing I want to talk about are the deaths here in St. Bernard Parish. You know, our hearts, our prayers go out to all of those families. As of today, we've had 8 deaths here in St. Bernard Parish. We had 1 death over the weekend. But all of those people, all of the families involved, we want to make sure that we all pray and make sure that those families have the strength and the grace and the peace that they need to move forward. We also want to pray for all of those who are infected, all of those who are going to be infected, to make sure that they have the grace and the strength to get through this, and pray for each other. So I wanted to first talk about that statistic here in St. Bernard Parish. And it's so important that as we sit here and as you listen to this update, as you go through your daily routines, as you're walking your neighborhood, you know, all of the different things we're doing now, as you're standing 6 feet apart talking with your neighbors, whatever that might be, just remember there are people at that moment dying in our hospital alone. Nurses having to hold up phones with Facebook, right? So let me give you an update of what's going on at our hospital. Currently, we have 36 patients. 27 of those are COVID patients. 5 of those are on ventilators. Like I said, we had 1 death over the weekend. We have spare ventilators at our hospital. It just seems like what's happening at our hospital, which is the first sign of what's happening, is starting to be encouraging of the things we're seeing in less activity as far as the COVID-19. Again, those small daily intervals does not really give you a full picture yet. But it just seems like we're doing the right thing here in St. Bernard Parish. And remember, we have to look at that graph over the long haul before these statistics make any sense to us. These statistics are real. These statistics are happening at the hospital. Again, 27 COVID patients, 5 are on ventilators, and we all know the percentages of what happened to people when they get on ventilators. So please pray for them, pray for their families, that they can gain the strength to get out of that situation. Kim also, again, wanted me to tell you guys that they really appreciate all of the support, all of the food that people are dropping off at the hospital. All they ask is that you call and let them know that you're going to be bringing whatever it may be to support our healthcare workers. And she really wants to send her thanks to all of you for all of the support that we're giving to them. They are in this fight. We're asking our healthcare workers to give it their all. We're asking them, when you think you can't go anymore, to just give it a little bit more. And the words of encouragement, the support from our community is giving them that motivation and that inspiration to move on. So we wanted to make sure that we got those out there. I also want to thank all of, and we do this all the time, and I don't want to just gloss over it, but all of our workers here at St. Bernard Parish Government, our firefighters, our sheriff's deputies, we know that you're on the front lines and making the best quality of life that we can have in this moment. So we want to thank you. We want to thank your families. And we know that when we come out on the other end of this, that you guys are the first ones we're going to make sure that we recognize for your efforts and how you brought our community through this. I want to thank our council. Again, they are working so hard. Today, earlier, they did an hour of prayer with our citizens of St. Bernard Parish. I want to thank the men and women who lead our places of worship here in the parish for coming and giving that hour of prayer, because we all know that prayer works. We know that prayer is needed in this time. So I really want to thank our council chair, Kerry Calais, put that together, and it was such a beautiful service for the citizens of St. Bernard Parish. I do want to say that this is our moment, right? Dr. Bricks with President Trump said it the other day, and it couldn't have been said it anymore, and I want to transfer that to our citizens. You know, this is our moment right now to not go to the grocery store if you don't absolutely have to not get in your car and drive around, go to the park, or go to places of businesses right now. Right now, this is the moment that we can start to see the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel for this horrible disease and what it's doing to our communities. You know, you can find every generation had their moment, right? And you can look that up. This is a teachable moment that you can share with your children or learn yourself, right? We've had all sorts of things going back to World War I, the influenza back then, Korea, Vietnam, World War II, the Depression. All of those times, think about what our citizens did in our country and in small communities like ours all over our country. And for this one, it's the world, right? So this, right now, the next couple of weeks, and I know we're tired of hearing 2 weeks, but you know, we're there now. And these next couple of days, these next 1 week, these next 2 weeks is so important. It is our moment. Please try to stay home. Try to not gather in your neighborhoods. Please follow all of the social distancing guidelines. The 6 feet. Washing your hands is so important. All you got to do is wash your hands with soap 20 seconds after touching your grocery bags. Wash your hands for 20 seconds when you leave someone's house or when you get into someone's house, all right? A family member, all right? So washing your hands, it gets rid of the virus on your hands. And in between, try to keep from touching your face. I'm getting better, and I know you can. And I know we can pull through this moment in time with God's grace and a team approach for the citizens of St. Bernard Parish. So we're getting there. We're doing all of the right things. It's just time to buckle down. And it looks like we have this thing and we're moving in the right direction. But it's not time to relax. Actually, it's time to put the metal to the pedal. The pedal to the metal. Right? I got it backwards. Right? But we really have to put this full court press on this virus so that we can get out of this sooner rather than later. So I wanted to make sure I did that. Now, with that said, I am going to issue an executive order today, this afternoon, and it will go into effect Wednesday morning in the a.m. And it's really for the stores that we have throughout our parish that are essential. For grocery stores and for hardware stores, for that matter, right? So we're having some problems with families showing up to shop. We're having some problems where some of these store owners are not making their customers adhere to the social guidelines, and it's causing some problems and it's causing some complaints and worries throughout our community. So we have to do our part. Again, customers, when you go to a grocery store, make sure that you have sanitizer with you or the sanitizing wipes, okay? And make sure that you adhere to the social distancing when you're there. Stand 6 feet from the person in front of you. Make sure the person behind you is 6 feet. One person, one grocery basket. We're asking one person to go shopping. Your spouse can wait outside, or someone else can bring you and they can wait outside. We're going to have an exception for that for people who are handicapped or for some other physical reason that they cannot go alone and that they need help. The best situation under that circumstance would be for someone to go to the grocery for that significant other, right? Or loved one, or family member, or friend. One person, one basket, once a week is what we're asking, right? So we're having more people show up at our grocery stores, and while it's essential, again, this is our moment. So what we're asking all of our big stores, along with our smaller grocery stores, is to make sure that we have hand sanitizer when we walk in, hand sanitizer when we leave, and the sanitizing wipes for customers when they come to your store. So we're asking the store owners to provide that. We're asking them to put up signs throughout their grocery store or business to make sure people continuing to know to adhere to the social distancing guidelines. This in itself, if people would adhere to that, will help. And not going to the grocery as often as we are right now. So we're asking all of our stores to adhere to that. We are not going to monitor the number of customers that are going into our larger stores. That would include the 2 Walmarts, Bromart, Winn-Dixie, Conseco's, and Save-A-Lot, Home Depot, and Tractor Supply. So those 8 stores, that's our larger stores here in St. Bernard Parish. We're not going to monitor the number of people. We're asking you to regulate yourself. A lot of the national chains are regulating themselves. They have their square footage and how many people. We're going to allow them to monitor the number of people in their stores. Everything else, we all have to adhere to. Now, as far as the number of customers in all of the other grocery stores and hardware stores in St. Bernard Parish, we're asking that we keep the number of customers in your store to 10. Now, this does not include the workers in your store. We're asking you to keep that number to 10, and if they are waiting outside, to have someone monitor and make sure that they're standing 6 feet apart. So we need to buckle down on this in this community. It's something that we're seeing, and that's why we're doing this executive order today. Now, one customer can be 2 people. We're not going to count the second person if they're helping someone because of a physical ailment or a disability, right? So we want to make sure we follow those guidelines. What we're going to do is we're going to hand deliver this executive order to all of our stores throughout St. Bernard Parish. Jeff McLean in Community Development is doing a great job in communicating with all of our businesses. So he's going to go out there and make sure that all of our convenience stores, grocery stores, Family Dollar, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, whatever you may be, other than those 8 businesses, we're asking you to make sure that you only allow 10 people in your establishment, 10 customers in your establishment at one time. This is our moment. This is what you can do to give back to the community that's given so much to you. So we're going to monitor that. And if we get some corporate executives that want to put it in writing, well, the executive order is already going to be in writing. And we want you to make sure that your employees are safe too. We want your employees to have masks. We want your employees to have gloves. Some of our establishments here in St. Bernard Parish are putting a plexiglass in between the person working the register, and the customers. They are worried about their customers, they are worried about their employees, and that's how it should be. So we're going to monitor that. And I just know that everyone's going to comply, and we are not going to have to shut any businesses down here in St. Bernard Parish, because we're doing such a great job up until this point. So we're monitoring all of these situations throughout St. Bernard. We're kind of looking at the landscape in our region. That would be Region 1 and Region 3, and seeing what other communities are dealing with and how they're approaching this. So we're going to start this Wednesday morning. Between today and tomorrow, that executive order will be in a press release. We will also hand deliver that to all or as many of the stores that we can. So this is something that we feel at this time and in this moment, and putting this full court press on what we should be doing, we're going to execute this order on our stores in St. Bernard Parish. So, but we also believe that as citizens, we shouldn't be going out to these establishments as much as we have been, at least over the next 2 weeks or week and a half. Please refrain from going. Save it up. Go next week to the grocery and continue to adhere to these guidelines. We're going to get there. I'm listening to President Trump every day, and he is chomping at the bit to release the economic engine that we have in this country. He wants to get there sooner rather than later. Well, let's help him. Let's do this. Let's make sure that we don't put any more pressure or risk on our healthcare workers, our first responders, and our deputies that are out there every day. Not to mention prolonging this time in our lives any longer than it has to be. We have a president that wants to put us back to work. He needs to have us do everything that we can do to make sure that we're all pulling this train in the same direction, and that we're all on board and we're doing the same thing. So with that said, God bless each and every one of you, and thank you.